stumble and I'm going to, fall a little bit, so be patient.
We're going to want to laugh.
We got you back.
You got me? That's what has me worried. The first thing that we do, I guess, is welcome any new visitors. If you want to raise your hand, if you're a visitor tonight, you want to stand up, tell us who you are, and tell us what you do?
I'm Steve Davis. I don't work and don't want to work. Looking for a hobby.
Looking for a hobby?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Rick Kaler. Work part-time when I want to work. And I like playing with wood.
All right.
Jeff Chancellor, retired land surveyor, and I just been working on a new hobby. My wife wants me to do something to keep me busy.
Brad Johnston, 22-year Navy vet, retired from the Navy. Worked a few years up here at Joshua Post of Print, so I don't know if anybody been up there, if you recognize me from there, but I decided to completely retire from working and play with wood, like I said, and like you said, and just, I'm not very good, but I want to learn to get better, so. In the right place. Thank you.
My name is Paul Miller. I own Stellar Ice Carving. We do ice sculptures, and I've been chainsaw carving wood for the past year.
All right.
My name is Gary Burkins. I actually pastor a church, but on the side I get to make stuff out of wood. And so,
Excellent.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Tell us your name. Sign in. Tell us your name first. What your experience is.
Nick Lepke, me and my wife have been doing some farmers market stuff. I do a lot of woodworking for that, and met some guys that invited me here. So.
All right.
Well, I don't know how y'all found out about us, but we meet here.
All right, I'm Stephanie Myers. I just started woodworking January last year. I just wanted a hobby. Everything I know is from YouTube. I know nothing else. So you guys are the first people I actually know that do woodworking. So I'm excited to be here.
People back here.
Bill Hogan. I still work. I work for the post office. I got a few years left, so trying to figure out something to do once I retire. So that's it.
Bob Kudrin, I live in Crowley, retired. Been in construction and handyman for the last 40 years, and so now I want to take all those skills and make a little money for myself.
All right, here we go.
I'm Astrid Fraser. These are my sons Ethan and Cannon. We go to church here, and Ethan and Cannon did a woodworking class at Russell Farm a couple of years ago. They really enjoyed it, and they haven't been able to get back to something like that, so they'd like to try to maybe do a bit more of that sort of stuff or learn what they can.
Sure. We love to see the young kids get involved. That's super.
Okay, I'm Alan Olson, and I'm recently retired, and I just want to get back into working with wood. I've always enjoyed it. Want to get back to it again.
Good job. Have you all joined our Facebook page? If not, please do that. You'll have all these people that you can get in contact with. They're full of answers, experts in all their fields. So this is a great group of people to have on your side. Feel free to reach out to any member for questions, and I'm glad that y'all could make it tonight. We meet every second Tuesday right here, so if you like what you see tonight, come on back next month. Tonight, January being the first month of the year, we want everybody to renew their membership, whether it's either online or by a paper, and then I'll continue to collect the yearly dues of $48 tonight after the meeting if you haven't gotten a hold of me so far. Special announcements, and then I'll get to you. One of our members, Rick, the carpenter, had quadruple bypass surgery last week, and obviously is down for the count. He has, since he is, the main money earner there, he's going to get into a spot, and I asked him if he had some projects that were in the middle of that maybe we could help out, push to the finish line so he could collect on those projects and help with his recovery. So I'll send out through the email train more information about that if you're able and willing to help. All right? Dennis, Purple Heart.
Purple Heart, probably going to start back up in April, probably maybe March, April. So I know Michael got a set of legs made already for it. And then probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, probably at my shop, it's probably due to top. So look forward, send an email, and whoever wants to come out. I know some of you guys have been out to my place.
Do the new people know what Purple Heart is? Explain.
Huh?
Do the new people know what the Purple Heart Project is?
What it is we build a work bench for wounded vets throughout Texas, and we just did one. The guy just on the other side of Oklahoma, that's our last one. And these guys trying to get into the woodworking, and so we built them for them. Get on our Facebook page. You can look up, type in Purple Heart.
Yeah. Great.
Do we have a customer for this one?
No, we just want to practice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
And then, break like Ellie boxes. Who was involved building boxes last year?
bunch of people.
Yeah. So we waited till, well, we never waited. We got the word probably in March last year that Jennifer needed 50 boxes by June the 15th.
You have to explain that one too to everyone.
Would you like me to do?
Kids with
Yeah.
cancer.
Joe.
Yeah. All right. This family lost their daughter. Their daughter's name was Ellie to cancer. Now, Ellie was such a bright light. Everybody made such a big thing about this young lady while she was still alive. When she passed away, her mother started a foundation, a charity, Brave Like Elle. And what she does is different. I don't know if anybody heard of the Beads of Courage boxes, where you make a box for the kids that do have procedures and they get beads. Well, she took a different take. What she does is she presents the family with a box of things that are comforting and supportive to bring the family together. And so that they can, struggle through the pain and the anguish that goes through watching your child go through all of this crap. And then after they pass away, she continues to support families by giving them support items for families to come together and, just get closer. So these are the boxes. So her boxes are a little bit bigger. And we made, she asked for 50, We made 64 boxes. Then she wanted to get more word out, so she needed, she had a trailer, and she would like some big boxes for a parade float, and we supplied those too. She got it's a 3 by 3 by 4 foot high, one of those, and 2 by 2 by 3 foot high. She got 3 of those, and she stacked them and covered them with Christmas paper and made a float. We got pictures of it on our website.
Yeah.
Real great. So the idea is we're supporting her, and we also raised a lot of money for her. So we're anticipating more drives that she's going to put out, because the last one she called it Christmas in July. Something similar to that. She's going to need a good order of boxes. So stand by, that'll happen.
And the boxes are 12.
12 by 12 by 16.
I actually have 2 of them sitting in my garage I've got to put together.
And Kevin, he's got a bunch of pine, 1 by 12s, he got from Justin.
Right, my shop, I've got all these, it's 8 foot long, 12 by 1 boards that Justin supplied through Nick Stewart Lumber. All that stuff is on at my shop. If you'll give me a call, if you want to build a box, come over and get it, and I will make sure that you get that wood, and we can get started ahead of time.
Get on our Facebook page, Brave Black Ellie, you can see pictures, and we got pictures of them. Or if you get on the website, Brave Black Ellie, got everything on it. So more than likely, I already talked to Walter and Don, probably want to have some people come out and get some of that wood from Kevin and start making some of these boxes here in probably the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm gonna make sure that we have a box here next month.
Yes.
So that you have something to look at and touch and feel. Somebody's gonna provide that. Barb. You've got one?
Who's going to do the engraving now?
The success, the key to success of being a manager is
We
delegation.
got several people who've got engravers, I got an engraver, and then Michael's got an engraver, and Jim, Don, we still got a bunch of,
We got half a dozen guys that will engrave.
yeah.
We need a list of those people. There's money to volunteer.
I will provide that.
We'll get that on the news.
And Justin, if you would, get a hold of Justin, he'll make you,
Now, are we just anticipating, or she's already asked?
she's continued doing that, so we need to be kind of proactive and start building them still.
All right, so we don't have a due date yet.
Well, June 14th or 15th.
Okay, all right.
Same spot.
Any wood for the boxes, if you come to Nick Stewart Lumber, I'll give at cost for any of the boxes. And then for the Purple Heart, we'll donate the material for the box.
Thank you. Thank you.
So look forward to see an email really from myself, more likely from myself, and then Joe and Jake. And probably see a couple of emails about the Purple Heart and Brett Black Ellie coming up. And if anybody wants to get started building some wood, get hold of Kevin, he's got wood, or get hold of Justin.
Jake is our new secretary. Anything you want to share with this crowd?
You writing all this down?
For all the new people and everybody that's come back, we just want to say thank y'all. I'm relatively new to this group, but it's been awesome. So much support everywhere you look. Great wood, great people. So it's just a really cool place. So we're glad y'all are here. Thank y'all.
All of these raffle items are donated to us, and you can buy raffle tickets and put them in the buckets. It's optional. It's not necessary. I'm trying to develop more sponsors to get more items donated, either on a monthly or quarterly basis. If anybody else is interested in helping in that area, that'd be welcomed very much. Yes, sir.
Just kind of on that note, like, be sure, like, if you go into Rockler or the Woodshed or something like that, like, let them know y'all are from the club, so that way they know that their donations are also getting seen.
For all the meat, we've got 10% of Wood Crowd.
Yes.
Rockler,
Rockler.
10% off.
I think Fort Worth Plywood, there's a bunch of them.
So just let them know when you go in where y'all, you know, are members.
And then also from Justin.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? I know Walter would really like it if everybody wore overalls. Slowly, we're gonna get that going.
My wife won't let me.
What?
That's our unofficial uniform.
That's unofficial? I'm gonna have overalls next month, I promise you. And that's roundhouse. What are you gonna do next month? I'm gonna have my overalls for next month, I promise. Good.
Be Walter now.
He's got his on. Oh, sure. They're stylish, right? Regular chick lady. Every month we have a presentation. Tonight's presentation is Matthew. After his presentation, we'll take a short break if you want to buy some more raffle tickets. Then we'll have spit and whittle, show and tell, and then we'll have our raffle. Next month's presentation is Michael Winningham on the portable shop bench.
All right.
So, Matthew, are you ready to launch?
Yeah, I think so.
Go! It's all yours.
All right. My name's Matthew. I just joined up this group, I think it was November. Followed for a while on Facebook. Finally said I'm gonna come. We moved from Odessa, and I had one room in the house. My wife let me take over. It didn't have carpet, so she said whatever. I didn't have any power tools yet. We had a shed in the back that I thought would be like this great thing, but it was just falling apart. And I had gotten this little plastic and aluminum table saw. Scared the crap out of me. You know. In hindsight, it was definitely user error. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I spent some time looking up more stuff, and I wanted to do it. And I came across hand tools. And I was looking them up, and I guess I must have talked too much, because as a present one day, my wife got me a number 4 hand plane. Well, then it was over. That storage room, I bought a bunch of 2x4s, glued them all together, used that plane to flatten it, which wore me out. And there I went. I would get another hand tool, And to kind of pay for my hobby, usually when I bought one hand tool, I usually bought more than one, and I'd clean up one of them and I'd sell it, get some more money to buy something else, right? Well, eventually I came on to saws. And I couldn't sharpen them to save my life. I messed them up every time, which it probably didn't help that I went to an antique store or wherever and picked up some saw out of a bucket, all rusted up, not very good, might have been missing a tooth or two. Well, that kind of went on the back burner. But it was something I kept trying to mess with. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. You ever get something stuck in your head, you want to figure it out? So here we go. It's been a year or two. We went on vacation. I saw this saw setter, this automatic saw setter. You plug it in, you push the button, and you feed your saw to it. I kept looking at it and looking at it. I didn't want to spend the money. Well, here my wife goes again. A few weeks later, apparently she had called them, because this was Colorado. She called them, had them ship it. Hey, happy birthday. I'm like, oh boy, I got this. What do I do with it now? So I thought, all right, they got saw setters. What else they got? Well, they got saw toothers. They got saw filers. They've got all sorts of stuff. Well, I started buying stuff. You know, and I bought this. Don't know if anybody's familiar with Foley. A lot of key maker, that sort of stuff. Foley bell saw. They made a toother. It's a punch. Rolls on a big wheel on the back. Pop, pop. It punches those teeth right out. You can run it on a belt. Turn it on. And there you go. Well, all right. I decided I needed one of those. I bought one. Okay. Now I can retooth all these saw plates. They're great. I had a saw setter. Of course, I bought more because I found them. I could run those through. I also had the hand setters, and I've got a couple examples. And the more I mess with it, I still couldn't sharpen a saw, even with fresh teeth. I messed it up every freaking time. So another thing I decided, I just had to have, was Foley used to sell in sets of 3. Your toother, your setter, and the filer. Automatic filer. I decided, all right, I'll get one of those too. So this little room was really turning into just saw stuff. Watching that saw filer run, the angle and the consistency, and watching it do those teeth. I'd sit there and I'd stare at it and watch it, make sure it's set up right, and stare at it and watch it. It taught me how to sharpen a saw. To the point where I started doing them on the vise, and I got faster than the saw filer, so the saw filer kind of got tucked away. Now, I still have 4 of them, but you know, why get rid of it, right? But I'm faster by hand unless I'm feeling really tired, I've done too many, or I'm doing really big teeth. I really don't like using the filer anymore. But instead, I now have, I will dig out some of this. There we go. Let me switch it over. Make it big. See that all right?
Yeah, you're in.
But this nifty little guy right here goes on the end of my file. I can set my rake angle. I can set my fleet. And I'll just run across, and I keep the edge of this right here with the edge of the vise. So if it's tilted like this, I'm tilted like this. Tilted like this, I'm tilted like this. And I just stay consistent. This thing is awesome. Between watching that thing run and buying one of these, which you can make wooden block ones, you can jam one into the end, you know, get the angle just right, and make sure you don't wiggle it out of place, you're good to go. If you're going to do any amount of filing, though, I'd recommend buying one of these. And I just started cleaning them up. So, there I was cleaning up saws, because, you know, you go to the store, you go to the antique store, you go wherever. I'm starting to have too many tools, so I had a bunch of hand planes. I sold a bunch of those because I just had extras. Bought me more saws, I had a bunch of saws. Well, you clean them, or custom ones. They sold pretty easy, and I'm like, all right. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I can make some money. And I just kept making more. And I kept needing tools to make the tools, right? And right about, like I said, I joined here with the idea of like, I'm going to start using some of these tools for something other than making saws, and maybe actually making furniture or something, right? Still haven't quite got there. I built a breakfast nook, you know, stuff like that. That's as far as I've got. I'm still doing saws. Just yesterday, I cut out a bunch of blanks. So, for example, here's a couple of them. Here's a couple. Yeah, just cut out blocky. You know, I was just cutting these out yesterday. I still haven't done anything major. But hey, I promise. I used the table saw to cut the pieces down. I used the planer to plane them down to my right thickness. You know, I used all my tools like I tell my wife I need them. But I'm still just making saws. But over the break, I guess a lot of people got some Christmas money because I had to stop taking some. I'm a teacher full-time, so I only got so much time. I got 4 of these to make, and I started selling, it's a little bit. Big teeth on this one, 4-inch blade. This is just a cutoff I was using as to help me set up. I sell these in 4-foot links, so people can make frame saws. I make the hardware for it, I cut the metal, I get it all ready. And I cut these at the 3 teeth per inch. I'd like to go 2, but I had to make my own piece to make that. Again, I found like another market within the market of people needing these, because a couple people that were making them either aren't making them or something about them, people aren't liking it. Too many teeth per inch, they're small or whichever. So I thought, hey, one day, one guy asked me, hey, can you tooth one of those? Oh, well, I'm toothing regular saw. Sure, I can make one of those. Come to find out, I do not have a 5-foot long thing to run this through. I thought, hey, I can make one. It took me a while to file the teeth in for one of those, but the first one, then I can run the next ones through. So I just ordered stuff yesterday. I got 6 of these to make. Like I said, they're 4-foot links. I do a few inches at a time, sharpen them because it kind of wears me out. The teeth are a little, it's thick. It takes me a minute. I make a bunch of those, but y'all probably don't really care about these. It's more maybe what I've got to handle myself. Well, y'all can see something here, Here's a decent picture. Kind of glare, kind of dead. So I make panel saws, full-size saws. I believe he wanted 22-inch plates on those. I like the Kenyan style. I started making a few of them. Somebody saw my picture, and I've sold a handful of those.
What's the Kenyan style?
You ever, what is, I forgot. No, I didn't bring that. Well, what is that book? Dang, I don't remember. Late 1700s, there's I guess a guy had bought his son a whole bunch of tools, big chest. The son went off to do something else. So it all stayed with the receipts and everything in it. And somehow through the generations, the families kind of kept it there. They didn't touch it. So it wound up in a museum. And a lot of the tools in it were these Kenyan style and other makers from the time. And they let people go through and trace and mark and measure these tools out. Down to, it's really impressive. The book's expensive. In the book, they show pretty detailed drawings. And a lot of people have made the templates and stuff to make them and the tracings and stuff. And, well, I was like, hey, I can make that. So I decided to make a few and I actually really like them. So I made those. People asked me for bigger back saws, 10-inch saws, dovetail saws. This one, he just had me sharpen. I didn't make that one. But these 4 I sent to this particular guy. And let's see. I can find it better. Glare. I try and has some nice, markings in it, make it look nice. So you saw my big blocking piece. Looks, I just cut it out with a bandsaw, right? Then I gotta go and I gotta shape it. I use a lot of rest. And I tried routers. And you hold it in the clamp thing, you kind of run it. I wound up still having to do too much by hand, and you get, some pretty coarse rafts, and you can kind of get it down to a rough shape pretty quick. I had some examples to bring, but, I had to finish them up because they were sold. If you'd caught me a couple weeks ago, I would have had some sauce to pass around, and if you'd caught me a couple weeks from now, I'd probably have some more, but I'm kind of in the middle of just cutting out some new ones. So I try and, by the time I'm done, to shape them up. But I had enough people at one point buying hardware from me that I decided I'd give a little build along to kind of help people out. So what I recommended was, don't cut out and try and shape it all yet, because there are two major things you got to get right. One, you got to fit your saw plate in there, right? If you get that just a little cockeyed and you stick it in there, well, it's going to stick out all funny, right? Two, if you're making a back saw, and did I bring an example of one? Yeah. Your spline is going into the handle. So you got to mortise that out, right? And that has got to be evened up with your, let me switch back over. You got to even up. You're off, the blade will be off. So you got to even it up as best you can, nice and square with each other.
How are you doing that?
All right, well, my first one, I decided, I cut it out, I put it in the vise, I took another handsaw and I cut it. Every other one I trashed because I did a terrible job. The ones that were nice and perfect, all right, the next step, I had to mark it out. So I would take it back, let's see, I was making my own for a while, but it took too long. Folded brass, nice and, use this, I got it over, right? Folded over brass. And I'd fit it into place. Until I mortised it. I'd have the plate in here and I'd have this here, and I'd come up to about there, and I would mark it with a pencil on each side. And then I'd mark it across, and I'd kind of start cutting it out, and I'd chisel it out, and I'd chisel it out until it fit. And again, I swear every other one I'd trashed there for the first few I did. So one of my missions was to not waste any more handles. So I decided, I clamped up a bunch of wood one day. I cut it out, and glued them all together. And I made a clamp for my router. And I built a horizontal router jig. Had this old little XY table, clamp my handle in place, and run it up this way, and I'd until it was perfect. At that point, I can get perfect every time. I was still messing up this, cutting for the plate. Turned out, my problem really was cheap little bandsaw was just, well, it was kind of hard. Once I had a bigger bandsaw, this became a really easy job. I had, here's one. I started cutting these where I wouldn't mark where the cut would stop. And it's not a perfect 90 degrees, but I would cut out the handle to where I could have that 90 degrees. So I made a little mark here to show it. slide this into the bandsaw, it's like you're resawing. I just got it nice and halfway and even. And I didn't bring it, but I have a little jig, really easy little jig that you put your pencil in. You can mark the center line around. Mark the center line, run it into my router, get it right on point. The first saw plate curve here I'd cut would really be like a really hopeful test that I got it even. And once everything was set up, I could do a handful of handles at once, no more problems. Oh, that's great. Up until, you know, maybe drop it or something. And I got to that point, and well, it's been pretty easy sailing. But my first few, I was either cutting by hand or, let's see, oh, there's that jig. Simple little jig, mark the center. You can kind of see here, I would lay the handle down on a nice flat surface, and I would take my blade, or the plate I'm using for it, and I would clamp it in place at exactly halfway. Till I had just right, and I'd run that handle back and forth against that table, and it gets there until I had a very straight, all the way across the scope. Unfortunately, you can only get maybe, half an inch. Then you got to take it out and do the rest. But if I had about that half inch, I could almost keep it perfect. A lot of trial and error. So this is what I recommend for anybody who wanted to try and make one. Now the next part, like I said, you've got to make your... You got to fit the back, you got to mortise out. Let's see, what did I have there? If you're at home, you want to cut the plates, shape them up, a cutoff wheel works fine. You're not going to heat up this thin plate so much that you mess it up. It cuts right through. And I'd show like the different things for people to, make one at home. I'm really not selling the kits really anymore because a friend of mine has started making more and they go pretty easy. Let's see. This part, getting the back on there. This seemed to kind of trick some people up, so I would mark along my plate to make sure I'm getting it on nice and easy. I'd clamp it in my vise. This 18-inch vise, so I can put pretty big saw in it. I would start with this corner, and I think I got pictures, so I don't have to keep going away from it. There we go. Put the corner of the folded back into the plate. You start tapping it along with the hammer. Tap, tap, tap it around, tap, tap, tap it around with my mallet until I get it to fit down like that. Then I come down and I keep going all the way the full length of it. Then using those lines I marked on the plate, I'd get it nice and even. And then I'd give a little extra smack on the middle and end and kind of ignore the middle. Ignore the middle for a second, get to both ends. You can kind of get it to pull. There's enough tension that just tries to pull it. And you can kind of see it in the saw plate. And you can flick it. And it went from just kind of a dull to a ding. I'm like, all right, it's good to go. And at this point, I know I'm all good. I check it to make sure it's nice and straight. Usually, it's nice and straight. I can fit it in. Okay. Like I said, I had a lot of trial and error. So, another part I had issues with. I tried Forstner bit, is that correct? Black line bit? So, I had to fit these in there. And I had to make sure I was centered down the middle for that second hole. You have the small hole in the middle, you got the bigger hole. I would try and clamp so hard to get two drill bits. The first one went in, the second one, I messed that up. A friend of mine recommended, we got it down here. these are these metal cutting? I think I got these from McMaster Cup. They have a pilot in it.
Step it.
Step bit, is that what that is? And it has you can order different pilots, put in it. So I can now go pick a 3/16, I think that's what he used, drill all the way through the handle. And depending on which size bolts I'm using, this little guy would fit that hole perfect, and I was centered every single time. I'm embarrassed to say, you know how many I kind of ruined trying to line that crap up? It was a real pain in the butt. And then somebody's like, hey, have you tried these before? And I'm like, well, I've never heard of those, but I'll use them. Again, there's a lot I haven't heard of. Because I spent so much time making these, and I didn't do a lot of actual woodworking yet. Like I said, the reason I wanted to join the group. So handle stuff I've used to make them. So I've got a number of rests, and I slowly shape it up. I can rough shape a handle in about 20-30 minutes. At that point, I start dropping down into finer ones. I came across these, if they're kind of curved, I call them handle making. And they really help me fit right into the grip of my handles. So I got these in coarse and fine, I got a handful. And I go along, and making the handle takes me the longest, because you want to clean it all up, get your lines. A lot of sandpaper. I got big rolls, just one after the other. And I got the 12-inch disc sander. And I'll hit the sides, and I hit the sides, and I'll run it again, I check, until I finally get it to feel right, you know. Like I said, I don't have a CNC or use the router all that much, so a lot of them just kind of go off feel. This particular one is my first ever saw. It is a little sad. Oh, it is. First completed saw, I'll say. I had a few really bad hiccups. I messed up, I think I remember messing up these holes a little bit. I got them to work, which was something. But then I tried to shine up and grind the bolt heads. They were a little uneven, like I say, getting to fit in there. Still, it didn't turn out super perfect. That's all right. I never did trim those. Now, my first one I did, I used a milled back instead of a folded one. There was a kit you could buy. Milled is actually pretty nice. You never have to worry about that back moving. If you have an old saw lying around that has a steel one, chances are it's rusted itself to the plate in the inside of it. It probably will never move, but every once in a while, you got a retension, smack the sides of that, the back, and kind of fix up a folded one. I actually think I might buy some more of these, get some made. I haven't yet, I keep telling myself. So this is my first one I did. I keep it around because, well, one is the first one. Two, I never set and sharpen these teeth. I don't know why, I never did. So it is still the same thickness as this plate, and I use it a lot. I dig it out, and I will go into a kerf, and I will kind of clean it up a bit. Maybe go a little deeper if I feel like I need to, or if I just drilled some holes through it, it kind of gets packed in there, and I'll chase it. It's wound up just being one I use to help me make it. It's not very pretty, like I said. I really think the handle shape wasn't so bad, but if you want to buzz that around again, like I said, not too pretty. A lot of the stuff I got here are going to either be some things I kept or they're rejects, because the good ones got sold. The other ones either got sold at a discount or they're not good enough to sell. So this one, for example, I got it off. It did not line up at all. I was pretty disappointed. It's just been sitting there. I keep a couple of them around so I can have next to the planer. When I run a board through it, I can make sure I get the same
And
thickness.
then you get a light, and you cut across there, and you make an ink pen out of this. You need your wife, make sure to your wife that you can take your scrap pieces and start making ink pens.
Right?
That surprises y'all, right? Alright, so you have.
Yeah, I might take you up on it. How about that? This is a saw setter. This is a plier grip, and there are pistol grips, and it's really the angle at which it's at. Pistol grip's more like a pistol, this is more like pliers. A lot of the internals in some of these are actually the same. So your Stanley 42X, the Eclipse, the Distin 24, I think all the internals are actually swappable. They didn't, why change what works, right? Personally, I like the plier grip, and I can get Eclipse ones a lot cheaper, even shipped from the UK, than buying some of the Stanley ones. I don't know why. I guess there was a blog about it, I think, and the prices went up. They got a whole bunch of these over in the UK. I've got multiple ones. Eclipse was actually nice enough. If you can see in there, you've got your anvil, and you've got, there we go. You see that piece moving there? Eclipse was nice enough. They made two main ones with a thinner one, thinner hammer, and a thicker hammer. So bigger teeth, nice thin, tiny teeth, right? A lot of people take some of the 42X or whatever, and they grind that down a little bit so they get fine ones. Because you start trying to get 16, 18, 20 teeth per inch, good Lord, is that hard to see. I've got a magnifying glass with a light, shine right over my vise, and that, the tiniest. It's a little time consuming because I have swiped across a little too hard, and there goes a tooth, it's gone. It's gone. You gotta really take your time with small. I personally don't like to go smaller than 16 teeth per inch, just because, or points per inch, sorry. Just because that's just too hard to see. And most of my back saw stuff, the smallest I usually go is about 14. Because after that point, I'm not seeing a lot of difference. Unless you start getting a very thin blade, maybe it's like a gent saw or something. For the most part, unless somebody asks for something specific, that's usually about as small as I like to go. And to do that, I don't think, I had some video, I'm not sure what I did with them. I've got, like I said, the full retutor. I've got a carrier, I mount the saw on. I've got these little tooth bars that are already, if I want 16 PPI, I get the 16 PPI bar and it runs across. And I might make some videos to throw on my website at some point just because, but I get the 16, I can get 16 teeth. I get the 12, I'll run it through. I really find that the toothing in part is one of the easier things to do. If I'm lucky and I think the teeth are too small, I'll run it through an auto setter. Because doing it by hand, you do one side every other tooth. Line it up careful, squeeze. Line it up careful, then you flip it over and you do it again. It's a little bit time consuming. I've got another hammer set one that I push down and it goes clunk, clunk every time. It's nice and very consistent. I will say I like that. Like I said, I gotta put it in there, line it up, bam. Slide it over, bam. Slide it over, bam. It takes a minute. I've got a little extra time here and there. It wasn't so bad. And you know, I'm not really charging for hours, so, you know, it's like whatever I can get to help me pay for stuff, right? This one, I forget what size it was in there. I pulled this out because I decided, I thought this was a little small, so I pulled it out to make a slightly bigger plate. So this just been banging around in there. I did go ahead and set the teeth. You can feel it. Every other tooth has been set. Feel it on both sides a little bit. I still need to go through and sharpen. But like I said, I thought it was too small, so I didn't use that. I might use it someday. Until then, it hasn't been sharpened yet. So it's just a little prickly, but not very sharp. I was going to show on this little vise here. I even bought it for this. Nice excuse, right? I ran across it. I've got a big one at home, mounted to the bed. Couldn't bring that, too big. This nice little one seemed nice, but, well, didn't work mounted to the table. I think some of y'all might get a kick out of this. Do you happen to notice?
Switch your screen up.
Yeah, go back. There you go. Well, if anybody noticed, look at my wonderful handle in that file. I need a quick one day. I made that one. Block. I promise you, I've got regular ones. But sometimes I wanted different sizes, and I've got a different types that all. And a nice block of wood or a wad of tape on the edge because I wanted that little one for a second. One thing I forgot to mention. When I run it through the bandsaw, I do two things, depending on the saw I got. On these type, where I do not have a back in it, I find it, I think I showed you, I keep the finished cut line 90 degrees to the table. And it's as if I'm resawing, and I run it through. Nice straight line. Not this one, I got a big X on it. You can see where at one point, it went a little cockeyed. Like I said, I got a bunch here and a little here. Hey, if you want to, you can see how bad I did. Now, like I said, I think this one was also slightly off. It must have been the first one I did because I got a little jig here. A friend of mine maybe. I could wedge it in there if I want to. Good place. It's almost set right. And this is run through, my cut line should be 90 degrees to this, right? I wedged it in place. And that first one I cut, and it's slotted through here, so I'm only going to go so far. I got to stop on the back of the bandsaw, and I push this against the fence. I take it off. I put the next one on. This makes sure I am centered to the mortise I made every time. Like I said, I think this one might have been that first one where it's just a smidge off. Actually, it might be all right, but I still set it off to the side. You can see that. I zero it in. Once it's perfect, I'll do a handful of them. Boom, 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 boom. And then I'm set for a little while. Somebody calls me up on the saw. I'm like, yeah, I got a handle ready. I'll start making it for you. Cost this much, and I start Googling what I'm going to buy next, you know. I really do, pretty bad. All right, my toolbox wasn't big enough to really fit any bigger saw, so I grabbed this little guy that was sitting up there. And it must have been sitting up there a while. It's got some spots on it. I was going to set up my vise, like I said, and kind of go through a couple things. I was going to show some angles. There's a couple plates going around. you can see nice fresh teeth. You can see after I'm set, right? At that point, I'm going to start filing. Unless somebody asks me for something very specific, my go-to thing is usually about 8 degrees rake for a rip saw. At this point, I'm sure you all understand the rip and the cross cut and all that. I don't really need to go into that. But 8 degrees, 0 clean, is pretty much my go-to. That's kind of like the standard. Now, people might ask for different. Maybe they want, 10 or more degrees. That way it's an easier cut. It's going to be slower, but it's easier for them. Or maybe somebody's really experienced, they want like, 0 degrees. It's going to be rough to go, but they'll cut through a lot faster, more aggressive. On my fling, on a cross cut, I do about 15 degrees rake, a little more relaxed. And I do about 20 degrees fling. So I hold it, like I said, kind of cockeyed, lined up with the edge of my vise, and I run through every other tube. Then I spin it around, and I go through every other tube until I'm nice and done. On small teeth, I have a hard time seeing what the heck I'm doing. I got smart one day, and I got some layout fluid. And if anybody decides they want a sharpened saw at home, you're having a hard time seeing those teeth. This stuff is great. It also helped me with, there's some very basic I learned that I always kind of messed up at the beginning. You're looking at one tip of the other as you're trying to sharpen. If you concentrate too much on it, you wind up with small teeth, big teeth, small teeth, because you're messing up trying to put too much focus on one edge or the other of the saw tooth. Like I said, if I had this vise up, I'd try to show it better. I put down this layout fluid on those. I put my file, I'll grab it there, you should see. This is part of the reason I grabbed this big plate.
What you do, you change the screen.
Part of the reason I got this big plate so I thought it would help us see. I would fit down into the gullet, you run across. You want to take off an even amount on this one, and in the middle. Layout fluid is great for that because one swipe across, you can tell pretty quick, did I go too heavy on this side, too heavy on this side, or am I just right? Because you got to hold it at an angle. You got to keep it at that angle, and usually that rake angle always pushed a little towards. It took me a while to kind of get out of that habit. Layout fluid helped me a lot. Helped me have consistent pressure all the way down, couple swipes, nice and sharp, good to go. Let's see, where else do we go? Oh, choosing a file. They have file names and file sizes. Honestly, I kind of forgot some of them because I just dig around in my drawer until I find the one that fits. If I find one that fits, you need to make sure, that the tube doesn't go up more than halfway, really a little less than halfway up the side of the file. You're going to go. You're going to wear out your file. And eventually you're going to want to spin it around to one of the other points, and then go, and just spin it around again and use the other side. As long as you don't use up the next side, you can use this 3 times around, right? Nice and easy. Now in a pinch, even a small one will work. But as you can see, that goes up more than halfway. Once I use that up, I can't flip over to this end because part of that file is no good anymore, so you kind of waste it. Like I said, if I just had to and I had to ship it out, I would do that, but I wouldn't want to waste a file. A quick look in there. Am I halfway? Am I more than halfway? Oh, that's too small. More than halfway. Grab one. Oh, it's a little less. Perfect. And if I know I can flip it 3 times, I'm good to go. You want to use it as much as you can without cutting it too close. So I started off online printing off templates. People have taken, been making sauce for forever. People have traced them out, done scans on computer. Any type you want to see, you can print it off. I've also just bought or had a saw in my shop, and I've traced it out myself. It took me forever to get my hands on a distant joiner saw, which I want to find a picture of. They are unique saws. No back on it. That one plate I was passing around, it was a little on the small side, that's why I took it off. But it's not very big. I think, I feel like Bad Axe might be selling them. They only made them for a short time. I think they stopped making them in the 1920s. They are a nice all-around saw. I kind of like them. It's kind of like the jack-of-all-trades sort of saw. They fit in your toolbox. You can cut down lumber pretty good, pretty quick. You can do some joinery with it. I felt like I compare it to like the Jack Plane. That number 5 is, you can join with it, you can smooth with it. It's not really the best one for either one, but you can if you're limited on what you got. Surprisingly, these have been kind of popular. Like I said, I got out of nowhere, I got like 4 of them that I'm making. And I'm like, all right, why not? I don't have to worry about making the back or mortising it out or anything like that. I really just got to shape it and put a plate in it. I sell them either with refurbished plate or brand new one. It works out because when I make my panel saws and I cut that nice curve out, I'm left with a section about this big off each one. I'm able to cut perfect for one of these. At the same time, I get a bunch of junk saws that, for one reason or another, I got to toss them. So I'll cut them up for like scraper plates. I'll sell at a discount. I'll put a refurbished plate in one. People, they don't care. They want to save a few bucks, and they kind of like a little character in the line. And I throw it on there, and they tell me what tooth pattern they want. So I got printed off one. I traced my own. Or this one, for example. This guy sent me this. It's an old Jackson. And it broke on him. And he handed it to me. And he said, hey, can you sharpen this up? And like I said, I don't make a lot of money. I think I charge 25 bucks a saw. I don't make that much. It's just a few bucks. It kind of adds up. My first test cut, it broke on me. And I'm like, hey, man. He's like, yeah, I meant to tell you. How much would it be if you just make me a new handle for it? So we came up with a price, and I made him a handle for it. And I said, hey, you mind if I keep this one? That way I can trace it. I'd have to look up. I don't know how old it was. But one of the horns on it was kind of beat up. It was split across. It's been glued twice. That third time I glued it up just to have it back together. I didn't even care if it looked pretty. I just wanted it so I could trace it. I got a handful of that sort of stuff lying around. So I got my templates. I got ones I trace. Every now and again somebody lets me keep one. I've got,
Where do you source your metal?
what's that?
Where do you source your metal for the saws?
McMaster Car. I get, what's it called? Blue tempered tempered steel. It's about 50 Rockwell hardness. It's just perfect enough that I can still bend it enough with the teeth, but it stays together. There is a handful of other saw makers I kind of keep up with. We all use kind of the exact same material. I guess people have been using for a long time. I got the chance to talk to Pete Turan. He started Independence Tool in the 90s. He sold out to, I think, Lee Nielsen, and I forget which saws they make, but he sold out to them. If you get a chance to, you try and talk to these people, and they recommend, hey, buy this sort of stuff, buy this from this guy, don't. I write it all down, and a lot of time I buy, and I haven't had any bad luck or nothing wrong, so I usually stick with what works, and I haven't tried anything else. But MasterCard is where I get a lot of my metal from. I just placed an order yesterday. I'm going to start cutting it down. I got between a big shear and even a cutoff wheel if I have to sometimes. I cut it all down to size. It comes with this bluing on it, but a little bit of acid makes that go away. I'll do that outside, I promise. All the safety gear. I didn't bring it with me. I did used to use this wax I put on the plates. I started buying, anybody use Brasso in the kitchen? This stuff is great. I'm starting to use it on everything. Put it on the table saw, I put it on everything. If I run out of, I still like to add a little wax to make it slide, but to make sure I don't have any rust, I just really put in that Brasso. Of course, let's see, what I miss. Oh, shine up the plate. These plates are pretty durable, and they're not going to heat up. So I like to take a very flat surface, and I get a flat, hard-bottomed sander, and I will start with about 400 grit and work my way up to about 2,000. And I will make these just as shiny as can be, where I can see my reflection. I feel like some of my pictures weren't the best on here. That is something my bad. You kind of see reflections in them. Every now and again, you see that.
Oh, that's pretty.
I didn't make that, I just cleaned it up, but yeah, some of those are I did make this one, I carved it out. I did a copy of a...
They're made in Mexico now.
They don't last very long. Baco's not bad, they last pretty good, but they also cost a little more, so, the old new stock files, if I'm ever lucky enough to find them, I try and get my hands on them. Like I said, the newer stuff just isn't great. Like Gary said, Baco's a newer brand that's pretty good. It costs me more, but what are you going to do, right?
You ever use a Grow Bear?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've always just bought Baco so far.
Made in Switzerland.
I think I had a friend of mine trying to talk me into those, but I just bought Baco.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot to bring up.
Well, let's take a break. Let's take a 5-10 minute break.
Get a close-up of some of the tools
Before
that
Rapid
you
finish Bob.
have. I'm way back at the back of the room.
Oh, yeah.
You walk over here for a spit and whittle.
The ejector seat?
I've got a bunch of files.
Find someone to sharpen hand saws.
Even circular saws, they use those away.
There's a company, when I used to be at Rockford, there's a company that's out there. It's called the Edge of Burlington. They do circular saw blades, they do router bits, they do drill bits, they used to do hand saws. And I say older guy, I'm in my 70s and he was
brain gas attack the other night. Anybody ever made a boot jack?
Yep.
Yeah? Ooh, nice.
Fold it up and put it in your suitcase.
Nice. Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice.
It's one of those brain gas attacks about 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm Cliff. I was inspired by one of our carvers that had put on a program last year.
Okay.
So I got playing with the cottonwood bark.
What's it called?
It's made out of cottonwood bark.
Cottonwood bark.
Yep. And then playing with the carving. There it is.
All right, just real quick. I decided to try to do segmented bowls. This is the biggest bowl I've ever turned. It's 13 inches across by 7 inches tall. This is close to one of the smaller ones. It's about 4 inches by 1.5 inches. This little thing has 60 pieces in it. This one has somewhere nearly 150 pieces in it. So I do it all on a chop saw. I figured out a way of doing it. I like it. I'm enjoying it. I got more coming.
Can you write your name with it?
Be sure you
Doesn't
introduce
have a
yourself.
secret pen in there or something?
Be sure to introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself for the folks at home.
So I'm Harry Rice. My son asked me to build him a hand grip and a shoulder stock for his Henry rifle.
Nice.
So that was a bit of a challenge. I've always asked him, hey, you want me to build you something? He's always said no. And then this holiday he came up and said, hey, I got something for you now to build. And I'm like, yeah, sure, great. What do you want me to build? So he hands me his rifle. It's like, replace his wood. I want some new wood on there. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Let's get, I'll give it a whirl. So
What kind of rifle?
it's a Henry 22 Golden Boy. So,
And
but there we go.
Turn that, or did you hand
No,
it?
this is, it's CNC and miter and table saw. So.
What kind of wood is it?
This is Curape, or loosely known Curape, or commonly some people refer to it as Patagonian rosewood. It's gorgeous. So who was looking for the saw handles? There you go.
My name is Gary, and I make cowboy boots.
Cool.
This is out of oak. Starts off with a chainsaw, and goes all the way. This is 800 grit sandpaper to get the finish.
Wow.
Holler at me if you need a boot jack.
I was gonna say, yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm Jerry Bear, and this is an Intarsia piece. Some of y'all have seen this before because I brought it, but Liz asked me to bring a piece to show her about Intarsia to see what it's all about. So I made this in 23, but it was for my wife. It's different woods: canary wood, walnut, spalted maple. Also was a blue ribbon winner at the State Fair, Texas.
Mike Hammett. I do a lot of CNC work, a lot of cutting boards. I had some extra wood. I had a 3D file, and so I decided to make a slightly disturbing tree of life.
I'm Gary Turman. Does it still count as turning if you turn it out of steel? Susan Thompson has stood in front of her lathe so many hours, she wore out the screw that advances the quill from the tailstock. They discovered that Grizzly didn't support this machine any longer and asked me to make a new one. The hardest issues of it, drilling a 3/8 hole, 5 1/4 deep in solid steel. The threads are 5/8 18, left hand, just to make it a little more fun. When it comes to putting a groove for a snap ring, you have to create your own tools This tool is 50 thousandths wide. It's about 4.5 hours of work. Anybody need machine work, let me know.
Okay, I'm Walter Patton, and I kind of hate to be between Gary and Don. They're both experts, precision.
But you
I
look
got
better.
I look better. Just kind of piddling around in the shop one day, and I wanted to make my wife something, and I made it for my wife, and she was tickled to death with it. So don't tell her any different. And Don made me bring it.
I'm Don Knutson. We live in the same neighborhood as Walter, so I saw that last night, and my wife says, "Oh, that's perfect." And then, because everything I make is good enough for her, but she has some opinions about it. She saw that, she said, "Yeah, it's perfect, Walter. I'd change this though, you know." But I made this for her anniversary, our anniversary, and it's walnut. And,
Keepsake box?
yeah, keepsake box. And then she put these velvet panels in there because we thought about that flocking, and I think this works better, and she can change the color if she wants. But I just, a little something I made for her for anniversary.
I'm Joe Riney. Just got a CNC machine about 6 months ago and playing around with it. First box I made, everything was done on the CNC except for the hinge cutouts.
Oh. Has it got epoxy on there?
Yes, it's got epoxy on the inside.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That way, you put stuff in there, it's not going to get hung up on the rows down at the bottom.
Oh.
It's got rows all the way around. The feet were made on the CNC machine. Everything. So.
Show off that top to everybody.
Are those Brusso hinges?
Pretty.
I'll just leave mine here if that's okay. All right.
That's not ice.
Yeah.
No, I didn't realize, I saw it on mine.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't imagine how big it was.
So, I live in an older neighborhood, and we have a bunch of mature trees, and now's the time for cutting. And about a year ago, my neighbor cut a big oak, and I carved it in a couple of days, and I went back over there and I grabbed another piece, and next thing you know, they were coming and asking what I was doing and checking it out. So a year into it, you know, I've done some bigger pieces, and there was a cool ring of a cluster of 4 pecans that got sliced through that I thought was really cool. So you see all the different lights and darks going on in there. Wow. And I kind of did I always wanted to do a crane, so this is kind of what I came up with. I went back and got 2 more pieces like this, so I can do, I'm thinking maybe 2 more panels. This is kind of Asian influence, and just kind of go with that vibe. And then separate them 3. Yeah. Thank you.
So he's buying it from you. He's not even buying it from you. It's amazing. All I had to pay
presenting today? So are you saying that the club has gone to hell since Kevin is not president anymore?
All the other projects,
Oh, you did. So why? I mean, like because the piping into it was just yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get it. So, I mean, what do your days look like? Are you still tired? Oh, you are? Me too. So, I'm going to get some wood. Probably, I don't know if I'm going to get it tonight or what, but I'll show you. This is like, Jeff has been like getting, like, I don't know where he gets these, he's got a bunch of orders, I guess. See that? I'll stand behind you. Yeah, right. Is it okay to stand behind? Of course. Yeah, so he's, like, he gets these orders and I don't know where he's getting them from cutting boards, and I've done some of the designs. They're not coming out quite like I would like. So I have like 3 or 4 of them from him right now. So like, look at this one.
Oh, he's giving them to you to inlay?
Yeah, so he gives me the wood, I'll do the inlays, and then he'll finish it. So this is like the one that we're going to try to do here. So that was the demonstration. What are you saying here? Oh, just at my house. Okay. But yeah, so this was a picture that he gave me, and then you have to kind of put it into tracing. Yeah, you have to trace it and do that. Oh, so tracing. Oh, okay, so I'm good with Photoshop. So you already know what this is going to look like, right?
Well, I haven't done bee carving. I really want to get into that.
All right, so carving. That's yeah. So this is basically what it's going to look like when it's bee carved in. got me was I had like all these jackrabbit lettering, and none of it, I couldn't get any of it to actually line up. And I don't think, so see I put reference lines down, and so the bottom of the J is lower than the S. It's like driving me crazy, and I couldn't get it to work right. If you go on the internet, you look for jackrabbit images, they're all the same. They're all not symmetric. It just drives me up the wall. So this one, so it's supposed to be like a sign where it says Bartles, beer, bait, bullshit. And then he gave me this fish, and so I did the outline of the fish, but that would be like super difficult to, it needs to be, there's too many data points. Yeah, so like when you cut that out, it would be like really difficult. So I came up with some of these other ones to see if he'll go for it. There's a really simple one, and then maybe one that's a little bit more. Yeah, this is impossible. It would be like if you try to cut this, then you'd have like all these little pieces that would like break off.
So this is for an inlay project. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of work. It's not just V-carving.
It's V-carving, but it's a V-carve inlay.